Welcome to the System Performance Measures Data Correction video series. If you're watching this video, it's because you want to end homelessness. To end homelessness, you need good data about the people you serve. Without that good data, it's harder to make an impact at your agency and on the people you see and help on a daily basis. Each video in this series will focus on a single performance measure and will offer 1 to 3 areas of focus for data correction. Before we get started, there are a few reports you need to run and have handy. First, you will need to run the HUD Data Quality Report. Save it as a PDF to review later, then run the report as an export. Essentially, the export will spit out the APR ESG and DQ detail export. Don't worry if you don't have these funding types. The report will still be useful to you. You will also need to run the 2018 System Performance Measure 1 report and the 2018 System Performance Measures 2 through 7 report. Save each of these reports as PDFs and then export them to Excel data as well. While you will mostly be working out of the Excel data files, having the PDF files on record is good for establishing at a glance where your data is currently at. You may also find it useful to run the System Performance Measure 1 report 2 to 4 times using the different report criteria settings. For dates, use October 1st, 2017 as the start date. Leave today's date as the end date. Note that as we progress through the years, the start date will change. Eventually, we'll be looking at October 1st, 2018, and then 2019, and then 2020, and so on. There are videos on our YouTube channel that cover each of these reports and how to export them. I encourage you to take a look at those videos if you are unfamiliar with the steps needed to run and export the necessary reports. Save all of these reports in an easy-to-access folder, and you're ready to dive in. In this video, we're going to take a look at System Performance Measure 2, Returns to Homelessness. Specifically, this measure looks at clients who were exited to permanent housing destinations, but who then returned to homelessness within a year. This measure looks at emergency shelters, safe havens, transitional housing, street outreach, and permanent housing project types. For this measure, you will want to look at your HUD Data Quality Report PDF for Timeliness, the Excel data file for the 2018 System Performance Measures 2 through 7 report for dates on returns to homelessness, and the APR ESG and DQ detail export for destinations. First, look at the Timeliness section on your HUD Data Quality Report PDF. The sooner you enter your data, the better position you will be in to make corrections. If you have a lot of data entries that were made 11 or more days after your client actually presented at or left your agency, it makes it that much harder, if not impossible, to go back and collect any data that might be missing. This is especially important in regards to returns to homelessness. Entries and exits entered into the system late may not be captured during the reporting period, which may skew the numbers you see on your end and the numbers that are ultimately sent to HUD. Optimal data entry will be between same day and 3 days, depending on your program type. If you notice that your timeliness isn't, well, so timely, take the opportunity to dig into why that may be. The only way to improve this section is to have a data entry process in place that allows you to enter data in a timely manner. Next, crack open the Excel data file for your 2018 System Performance Measures 2 through 7 report. Notice this file has a number of tabs at the bottom, representing a specific measure. We'll only be concerned with Measure 2 for now. Make sure you've got some coffee nearby because this may take some time to sift through, especially if you have a lot of data for this measure. Set a filter on the top row of the datasheet. Look for the column that says Days Returned to H. This shows the number of days it took for that specific client to return to homelessness. Set the filter for that column to show you the smallest numbers first. Then, from row to row, do a spot check, where any of the clients exited from your program only to return to the same program within a very short time frame. Or maybe a client started out in your transitional housing project only to return to a street outreach project a few days later. Did a client exit your emergency shelter with a destination of rental by client, only to be enrolled a few days later back at that same shelter? In this example, you can see that I have a client here who exited rapid rehousing with an exit destination of owned by client, no ongoing housing subsidy. But we can see that they returned to homelessness because they were enrolled in a street outreach project only 2 days later, after their exit from the rapid rehousing project. The system is counting that as a return to homelessness, and I'll need to investigate further what happened here. Any client that exited and then returned to your agency within 30 days needs scrutiny. If the client's housing situation didn't change from their first enrollment to their second enrollment within that time frame, then it may be that they actually only need that first enrollment, just extended. This would also mean taking off their original exit destination of permanent housing and deleting the second enrollment. This is the perfect opportunity to ask, if the client didn't actually go to permanent housing, then why was that listed as the destination? Was that self-reported by the client? Were there any probing questions asked to figure out if that was actually a viable destination for the client? Or did the client indeed make it a few days in their own rental or with family and friends, only to have that fall through? Once you know the answers, reach out to the HMIS help desk. We will need to help you delete and extend any enrollments that you pinpointed for corrections. The last things you will want to check for this measure are the overall destinations for your clients. For this, you will want to look at the Excel data validation file in the APR ESG and DQ detail export. Specifically, you're looking for a certain type of destination. Set a filter along the top row. Locate the destination column. Check to see if you have any destinations set to Other. If you do, track down those clients. Deselect the Select All filter, and then make sure that you have the checkbox next to Other. Take a look at that Other destination description. There are very few instances where this is an appropriate destination to choose for clients. Other should be used only as a last resort if the client's destination truly cannot be even loosely described by any of the available options. Any response of Other will not count in any HMIS-based reporting as a positive outcome. So if you see the description for a client as something like moved with family in another state, or client didn't tell us, or client planned to sleep in their car instead, those are types of exits that are already covered in the list that HUD provides. Review those other types of exits and make the necessary changes. If you truly think a destination isn't covered in the destination list, get in touch with the HMIS help desk and we'll take a look on our end. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Join us in our next video in the System Performance Measures Data Correction series.